Hello everyone, and welcome to my first trimester review. So my name is Sarah Lynn Groom, and I have decided to start making videos because this is just a really special time in my life, and I want to be able to document it and to be able to look back on it later in life. And I also want to be able to maybe help others out there who are going through or in a similar point in their life, and one, want to know that they're not crazy, and two, are looking for some helpful advice on what to do, for some resources to help them out with. So I am about 14 and a half weeks along currently, and so that means that when this video gets posted, I'm probably going to be 15 weeks. So I'm going to go over my symptoms and how they affected me. I'm going to go over what I wish I could have changed about my first trimester, and then I'm also going to go over some products and that I found really helped me throughout my first trimester. So let's start with my symptoms. So my first symptom that I got, that was my first hint that something was up, was fatigue. I was so fatigued. I was tired all the time. The simplest things would make me want to take a nap. I would go for a short walk to the grocery store and back, which is only a few blocks away, and I would get back and be like, I need a nap. I need some sleep. It was just ridiculous. I would go to work, and by halfway through the day, I would just be like, I need to curl up in a corner and sleep through my lunch so I can get through the afternoon. It was just really bad. It was something that started before I even found out I was pregnant and went to almost about 12 weeks. So luckily I am feeling a lot better now and have energy again and able to do things, but I was just so tired during my first trimester. My second symptom was I had really bad food aversion and almost like no appetite, which is really strange for me. I usually have a really big appetite and I love food and I can eat anything and everything. And I became the pickiest eater ever. Something that would be okay to eat one day would not be okay to eat the next day, or something I ate this morning that was okay in the morning would be okay, and then in the afternoon I could not touch it. And it was just really bad, and it caused actually a lot of nausea too. If it was something that I was like, I can't eat this, and it was put in front of me, it would make me gag and make me want to throw up. It was just really bad. And it made my first trimester a little difficult for me because I'm used to being able to eat kind of whatever and go out and eat whatever and whenever and had no problem with that. And then making sure I was eating enough throughout the day became a real struggle. I actually ended up losing weight in my first trimester. I think I lost about 5 pounds, which my doctors told me was normal, but it was a bit difficult, and I have to say my husband handled it really well. He was really patient and extremely understanding. He caught on pretty quick that he'd be like, what are we going to have for dinner tonight? What is okay? And I even went through a week or two where I couldn't touch food. I could not prepare it. I couldn't touch raw protein at all. I found it disgusting. If I cooked it, I then wouldn't be able to eat it. So for a couple of weeks there, my husband was making most of the meals. And bless his soul, this one time he was like, what ingredients are okay for dinner tonight? So I gave him a list of ingredients, and I'm like, these are kind of what I want. He went and made this lovely tuna casserole. I took 2 bites, and I couldn't eat it. It was suddenly disgusting, even though it was everything I had said like a half hour, 45 minutes ago. I was like, this is what I'm craving today. Made it, and suddenly I was like, I'm gonna puke if I'm gonna eat this. And he was extremely understanding about it, and I'm just very thankful for his understanding, as I was a little crazy with my food aversion. With the food aversion came a little bit of morning sickness, as I had said. I was finding a lot of foods, some foods would just make me really gag and I'd have to throw up. I also found though with my morning sickness though that it came a lot more when I was hungry. So I ended up carrying around soda crackers in my purse because if I started to feel nauseous, I would just eat a couple soda crackers until I could get myself some food of something I could eat somewhere. Funny story about, at least I find funny about the soda crackers, is basically me and my husband were in the lineup to go to the Stampede, and they had at the very front, they were doing security and they were going through everyone's bags and like patting people down. And so like the few people in front of us, like they really were searching the ladies' bags, checking all their pockets. So I get up there and I have like a really big purse because I carry a lot of stuff in my purse. And I was like, okay, we're gonna be here for a little bit. And he moves my keys out of the way and he looks in and he sees my crackers, moves the crackers and sees my bottle of Tums I also had in there because I was also a little gassy. And he just put my keys back, gave me my purse and just waved my husband and I right into the Stampede. It was like, oh, she's pregnant. Nothing to worry about there. I found that a little funny. But anyways, so yeah, my crackers really saved me. I found with my morning sickness, and luckily it dissipated. It started at about week 6 and it disappeared about week 11, which I'm extremely thankful for because I know not everyone is that lucky. My sister, who was pregnant last year, had her morning sickness throughout her entire pregnancy, and I was a little scared that I was going to be the same, so feeling a little blessed that my morning sickness is gone. Another symptom that I had was my needing to frequently urinate. It was actually it, and the fatigue is what gave me away to my one coworker. I was like 6 weeks pregnant at the time, and 6 or 7, and we weren't telling anyone yet. We were waiting until we got our first ultrasound, and then we were going to start telling family members. But because I was always running to the washroom and I was suddenly really tired at work, my coworker was like, we were like cleaning up at the end of the day, and she like jokingly looked at me. She's like, "What, are you pregnant?" Now, here's something you have to understand about me. I'm a really bad liar. I can't lie to save my life. It's horrible. So it went through my head to lie, and then I was like, well, wait. She's retiring this year anyways. She's not friends with anyone I really know. So I was like, yes, I am. And that was the first time I gave myself away. But luckily, again, that was another symptom that by about 12 weeks has disappeared, and I'm quite happy with that. And I look forward to enjoying the next 3 months of being back to normal for I understand that it will come back in the 3rd trimester. My last symptom that I've had, unfortunately, has not gone away, and it is acne. I know some women get this apparently beautiful glow during pregnancy, and mine just is acne. I feel like I am in junior high all over again. My face is just covered in pimples, and I have a really good cleaning routine for my face. You know, I wash my face, and I moisturize, and I tone, and I have a night cleanser that I use as well, and I like have a mask that I use every few days, and just it stopped working. It has been working really well for me for the last year, and since about month 2 of pregnancy, it's just been awful. I've even usually when I use tea tree oil to do any spot checking of any pimples that I do have, and that usually just clears it right up within a day or 2, and that hasn't even worked. So I'm looking for any suggestions from any ladies who have been pregnant and have had bad acne. Is there anything that you've used to help maintain or control your acne during pregnancy? Because I was hoping this was something that would go away in the 2nd trimester, and it unfortunately hasn't. So looking for suggestions there. So that is basically my symptoms for the 1st trimester. So looking back on the 1st trimester, one thing I wish I could change would be how much I documented and actually taking pictures of my small growing bump. I was just feeling so out of it for the first trimester. I was so tired all the time. I felt so blah. I wasn't eating. I had no appetite. I was feeling nauseous. And for 2 months, I didn't even wear makeup. I went 2 months without wearing makeup, which is a little unheard of for me. And I hermited so bad. I only went out a handful of times when I absolutely had to. Because I was also terrified that I was going to give myself away again and that people were going to find out before we were ready. But when we were planning on getting pregnant and we hadn't started yet, I had already planned out that I was going to take these weekly bump pictures to show to document how I grew and all that. And I was just feeling so the entire first trimester that I didn't do any of that. And I kind of regret that. In my back of my mind, because everything I read was, well, in first pregnancies, people don't start showing to 16 to 20 weeks. So I have time. And I'm of the exception. I started to grow a bump at about week 12. I started getting a bit of a bump. So now that I have one, I didn't take my first bump picture until week 14, and so I don't have anything to compare it to, and so that makes me a little sad. So that would be one thing I would go back and change if I could, is be documenting my first trimester more. So now for the products that I found, for the items that I found really helped me throughout my first trimester. So my first book I have here is What to Expect When Expecting. This is a great little book. I used it when I was looking through all my symptoms and trying to figure out if I was normal or if I was going crazy, especially the acne one, because I'd never heard of it before and wasn't expecting it. I was like, what is going on with my face? What am I doing? So it was really great for that, for easily being able to flip through, and it explains each symptom and kind of why it happens. And so it was really good for that. And then there's also the second book here. And this is my absolute favorite. This is like my pregnancy Bible, Pregnancy Day by Day. And I love this book because it does everything day by day and it breaks it down. So I bought this book actually before we had even tried to conceive, because I had a friend a couple years ago who, when she was pregnant, had this book and just absolutely loved it and just raved and raved about it. So when we were even just starting to plan whether we were going to try for a kid, I went out and got it. And even if you're planning to get pregnant, I would recommend this book. In the first part of it, it talks about like your diet, what nutrition you will need. It talks about exercising safely, about sex and relationship, illness and medication, lifestyle hazards, skin, hair, and teeth, and traveling in pregnancy. And that's just in the first little section. And I just found that so helpful to pre-read and to know going into it what I would need. And then you get into it, and it literally goes day by day, and it starts on your very first day, on your first day of your first period, and it talks about what is happening in your body. And as you go on, it talks about like roughly when you should be like ovulating and when it might be fertilized, and then it goes into how the baby is growing. And it's fantastic. I love reading it every single day. And then as you get further along, it has little pages and it talks about different things. Like, so this one's talking about screening tests and what they're going to have you screen for when you first find out you're pregnant. And then later on it will talk about ultrasounds and what they're looking for and what to expect, and then different testings that they do at different stages of your pregnancy and why they're doing them. And I just love having all that information and being prepared when I go to my prenatal appointments, to knowing what to expect is fantastic. And then every day it tells you how many days you have to go. It tells you your baby today, what's kind of going on in your body, and gives you little information. And then they even have like little focuses. Some days they have one on health. Sometimes they have a little information for dads. it's just really great. And then one of the things I was really enjoying was during the first trimester, at the end of each week, they show you how big your baby is in real life. And it shows you like previous weeks to show you how it has grown, which I really, really enjoyed. So this is something I get up and I read first thing every day. And I also will put any prenatal appointments I have or ultrasounds coming up on the day that's there. I will put all the appointments there too. So this book I absolutely love and highly recommend to anyone. So what I'll do for the 2 books is I'm going to put them down in the comments, and I'm also going to put down their ISBN number on them as well, because that is actually the easiest way to find books, is just put their ISBN number in. You put it into Google, and then anyone who sells the book, it will bring it up for you. So whether it is Amazon, it is Chapters, Barnes and Noble, and then that way you can just buy it through whoever you prefer to support. So I will do that. The last thing that I found extremely helpful during my first trimester, which you might find a little funny because it may have been a bit early for it, a bit premature because they're meant for when you get bigger, but I had got a snuggle. Or a snuggle, I guess it's called, snuggle. And I ended up getting this because I was just having a really hard time falling asleep at night. I was finding it hard to find a comfortable position, and I was tossing and turning and driving my husband crazy. So he finally was just like, we're going to baby our us, and we're going to get you the snuggle that you had been talking about for weeks anyways. And I have just loved it. It is, I found, given me so much support while I sleep. It has made my life so much easier. And I've even like brought it out into the living room because there's been some days where my lower back has just been bothering me. I just spiral it up and I put it behind me for just some extra support. So I absolutely love this. And yeah, I got it, I think it was about $90 altogether because I got this cover to go with it. So I think it itself is about $70, $75, and the cover was $20. And it's been fantastic. I don't know, I am so thankful to have had that through the first trimester. It made my life so much easier and sleeping so much better. So yeah, so those are the items that I would recommend for anyone in their first trimester. So thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys again next week. Talk to you later. Bye.